Good evening. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and the big question today is, where's my check? Okay. The big question is, where is my check? In today's daily recap of the events that affect you and your ability to get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement, I want to address where's your check at? Right now, with over 38,000 cases, 386,000 cases right now in the U.S. reported of COVID, over 12,500 deaths in just 3 months, with New York State 138,000 cases and 5,500 deaths, 4,000 of which are just in New York City by itself. Okay, and this could be peaking this week. Okay, you may be wondering, where's my check? Right now, there's doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, and hospital staffs, cops, firefighters falling sick every day. Some are actually dying. Okay? With the majority of the economy that's left anyway, and our lives totally dependent on the middle class people, that the workers that have been screwed for the last 40 years or so from the ever-growing income inequality, you may be wondering, where's my check? Well, as the president continues to be more concerned with his ratings for his daily briefings and continues to browbeat reporters when they ask basic questions, he continues to refuse to fully invoke the Defense Production Act, okay, which is really causing a problem, constantly forcing the state governors to still try on their own to figure out ways to handle a national crisis at the state level. And he continues to refuse to name a single non-political person, a military person, with a serious background in logisticals, okay, to take charge of the full supply chain and get a coordinated federal response to this national problem. You may be wondering, where's my check? When the markets are still down over 20% from their high of just 2 months ago. The economy lost 701,000 jobs last month. 6.6 million unemployment claims last week. Okay? The president basically fires 2 attorneys generals, one of which would have had oversight on the $500 billion bailout program for businesses, and he's replacing them with basically hand-picked political cronies. When the acting Secretary of the Navy calls the captain of the United States nuclear aircraft carrier Theodore Roosevelt stupid, 2 days after removing him from his command for trying to look out after the safety of his crew, and then resigns himself today, and then the Supreme Court tells the state of Wisconsin not to postpone their election, okay, this is scheduled for today, and not to allow mail-in ballots, forcing the citizens of that state to leave their houses today, cram into a limited number of voting sites, risking their lives just so they can partake in a democracy and vote. You may be wondering, where's my check? There's a lot of stuff going on out there. There is just a lot of stuff going on. And it's important for you to focus on the basic things that really affect you and your family directly. Because there's tons of things happening out there. Absolutely tons of things. And it's easy to get really, really frustrated. Okay? You're at home more than you want to be at this point in time. Okay? And a lot of non-essential workers are at home. And there's a real good reason for that right now. There's a 40% chance that you're going to get COVID if you don't already have it. However, if you do get it, there's a 98% chance that you'll recover. You only have very, very limited control over the crazy things that are happening out there. But you can control how you react to those things. That's the only thing you can control. Now, a little bit of good news today is Mario Cuomo, the governor of New York, for the first time in one of his briefings, started to talk about the possibility, sometime in the future, when things might open up, and how that affects you and the processes that are going to have to be in place to make that happen. Of course, they revolve around continued testing, which is still unavailable because the federal government hasn't taken charge of that yet. Now, if you go out, you still need to wear a mask. And I did a video a couple of days ago, and I showed you how to make your own mask. I've posted that link in my YouTube channel. You'll be able to get there. There's a page that has tons of links in there that you can amuse yourself with every day. And there's always something new. Now, understand the virus doesn't move by itself. People move the virus. If people don't move, the virus stops moving. So stay at home. Don't have family gatherings. Go out only for essential items like your groceries and pharmacies. If you go out, you need to wear a mask. Just saw a news report come in earlier today. New Zealand has pretty much crushed the entire problem in the country. They've had some cases. Most all the cases came in from people traveling to New Zealand. But they immediately shut things down, completely shut the borders down, shut all the non-essential stuff down, shut almost everything down completely. And the few cases they have were pretty much foreigners coming into the country. They've got, it looks like, no community spread, which is really, really impressive. And the Prime Minister there in New Zealand wants to hold it down for a little bit longer to make certain that everything is okay. But they've done a phenomenal job there. Unlike Italy, unlike the UK, unlike the US, all of which have been late to the party in trying to get things done and shutting things down and cutting off the community spread. Now, don't change your behavior to avoid infection. Just assume you're infected and change your behavior to avoid transmission. It's the only responsible thing to do for you and your family. Right now, you really want to rethink your plan A. Supplement with a plan B. Now's the time to start thinking, what can I do in my own business that can replace my plan A income at some point in time? Now's the time to be doing that. What type of job skills can you be looking for? Investigate that while you've got a little bit of free time. Now, the federal relief payments should be in process this week. They really should be. And that brings us back to the basic question is, where's my check? And there are some basic questions about that. One, how much will I get? Well, if you're single, you're going to get $1,200. If you have a married filing jointly, you're going to get $2,400. And if you got a kid at home, you're going to get an additional $500 per kid. Now, I've had some questions come in on this stuff. And one of them is, well, my 2019 income was too high to qualify for a stimulus check, but I'm out of work now. Will I still get any cash? And what happens is that the IRS is going to, if they don't have your current tax return, so they don't know what your current income is, they're going to go from your last year return, your 2018 return. Well, it's 2019 right now, and depending on the last information they have, they'll base the amount of your check on that return. Now, do I get $500 per child payment if I'm divorced? Well, who's ever claiming the child would get the payment. So if the child is not listed as a dependent on your return, you wouldn't see that payment. It would go to whoever claims that child. And if you've got a split situation where you flip the exemption every other year, and I've seen that a lot, okay, sorry, that's going to be going to the last person who claimed the deduction most likely for the child. And you're going to have to work that out with your ex-spouse, okay, which is always an interesting situation. Question comes in, do I need to pay federal income tax on the stimulus payment? No. The stimulus payment comes to you, okay, tax-free. The only thing that would interfere with that coming to you is if you had back child support payments and you were flagged. That's the only thing. Other than that, that money comes directly to you. Now, another question comes in, my daughter goes to college. Will I get the $500 credit for her? Well, if you claim her as a dependent, probably not, unless she's under 16. Again, they've limited us to under 16. Now, we can check on some more details for you, but that's pretty much going to be the cutoff. Another question comes in, I had a baby last month. Will a baby qualify for the $500 credit? Well, yes and no. Okay. The IRS doesn't know about the credit, doesn't know about your child. You're not going to report that child until you do your tax return next year, at which point in time that credit would most likely come in at that point in time when you report it on the upcoming tax return. You can't claim that child this year anyway. Child would have been born before December 31st, on or before December 31st for you to claim that child this year. So next year when you file your tax return, you'll probably get the credit at that point in time. Now, also questions come in. I get Social Security and I don't normally file a tax return at all. What do you have to do? Well, you don't need to do anything at all. If you're getting a Social Security check, the government knows you're getting a check. They're already making either direct deposits to you, most likely, or they're mailing a check to you. Those things will happen automatically. So you don't have to do anything at all, which is a nice thing. Now, another question comes in. What if I made too much money this year, but I'm out of work now? Do I get the refund? Well, yes and no. I wish it was more simple. The tax situation is always complex, and you can apply for it at this point in time and see what happens. But if last year in 2018 you made too much money, you won't qualify, but you'd really have to make a fair bit of money. Same thing in 2019, and they've got regulations as to where the breakdown is for that. I will post those in the links I have on my site, and you'll be able to see where you come in at. I have no taxable income is another question. What do I do? Okay, well, if you have no taxable income, the IRS doesn't know that you exist, basically, because you're not filing a tax return. I will, in my link on the YouTube channel, give you a link to a page, and you can go on the IRS site and input your information. Your name, your mailing address, your Social Security number, and your bank information. You'll be able to input that information, and they'll be able to get the check out to you whenever they actually get them in process. Now the big question is, when will I get my check? Okay. If you're getting a direct deposit, chances are you're going to see that before the end of the month. So if they've got your information from last year, if they've got your current tax return with your direct deposit information on it, if you're getting a Social Security check already, if you're getting a VA check already, chances are you're going to see that money in your account before the end of the month. If they don't have that information, there are reports that it could take as long as September before paper checks actually get out to you, which isn't going to be a whole lot of help. Now, with all this money flowing, I've been telling you for over a week now, watch out for the stimulus payment scams. And they're still out there. People are calling. People are sending emails asking you to verify your personal information so you get your stimulus check. The IRS is not going to call you. The state is not going to call you. The IRS will not email you. The state will not email you asking you for your personal information. Your name, mailing address, Social Security number, or bank account. They are not going to ask for any of that information. They're not going to call. They're not going to email you for those things. If you get calls or emails for that, okay, report them. I will give you a link to report that information on. Now, there's also scams going on for supplies, for prevention treatments, okay, for actual treatments themselves, and for PPE supplies, masks, gowns, and gloves. Okay, be exceptionally careful. If someone is touting a preventative treatment for COVID online, it's most likely bogus, because unless the CDC said so, it doesn't exist. And right now, it doesn't exist. There is no treatment for COVID at this point in time. The CDC are looking at a number of things. There's some studies underway, but there's nothing you can get online. People that want to sell you gloves, masks, and other PPEs online, you probably don't need them. You can get your own mask. I showed you how to make your own mask. So watch out these scams. They really crank the prices. It is really ridiculous. Now, because times are tight, the IRS came up with some regulations, and I have a link to them on my site on that in the YouTube channel, that you can pull out some tax-deferred money from your retirement accounts without penalties. If you're unemployed right now, I know you've been having a hard time trying to get through to unemployment. You can't physically go there. Online is jammed up and the phone lines are jammed up. Keep trying. Keep trying. You will eventually get through. Okay, there's money there for you. There was a lot touted about the Small Business Administration loans. Mnuchin was running off on stage about that a couple of days ago. President still runs off about it on occasion. Yes, they exist. If you've got a small business, chances of you getting one anytime soon are not really all that good. Doesn't mean you shouldn't apply, though. A lot of banks, the same way the states are flooded with unemployment claims, the banks are flooded with these SBA claims. Some banks have just cut them off. It's not the cleanest process in the world, and you may need some help with that. Check with whoever prepares your tax returns. They may be in a position to help you file that return, file the application, and that might be a good way to go. What else is going on in the world today? Okay, if you're out of work and you don't have health insurance, okay, and that's happening a lot these days, obviously, call your state, see what programs they have available for you. There should be something there. Some states have opened up the Obamacare exchanges. That's important. That will be very, very helpful. Some have not. Okay, continue your social distancing. If you go out, wear a mask. Be responsible for your own behavior. For you, for your family and your neighbors. Okay. Check on family and neighbors. Check on the elderly. Okay. Make video calls to these people. FaceTime with them. Okay. You'll get through this, but the isolation is really driving a lot of people crazy. Again, there have already been a few suicides because of the isolation. And these people are probably on the edge already to begin with, and this is just a little bit that needed to push them over the edge. But the social isolation is different than what we're normally used to. We're very communal people. We really are. And as a society, we like to bind together with other people, basically of like-minded interests, which is a good thing, except now you can't do that physically. So it creates some problems. So FaceTime people, make those phone calls. Okay. Each of you is currently doing your part, which is really great, because otherwise, if you weren't, they wouldn't be getting some of these numbers right now. Some of the numbers in New York State are actually decreasing just a tiny little bit, which brings in a glimmer of hope that, hey, all the aggravation that we've been going through for the last 2 to 3 weeks is actually starting to pay off. It really is. So I know it's uncomfortable. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. If you go out, wear a mask. Keep your social distancing. Now, some parts of the country are going to be better than others. Again, right now, New York looks as though they may be flattening their curve at some point in time. Their number of cases is now doubling in 8 days instead of 5 days. That's relatively impressive. It's still an ugly number, but it's relatively impressive. Now, New York is getting it this week. New Jersey probably is going to be next week. There are other parts of the country. They're going to get it a week or 2 or 3 down the line. There have been some improvements in ventilators and the accessibility of them, but the testing still sucks big time. In order to get this whole thing working back together again, you need the testing. The testing is not standardized yet. Okay, this testing needs to get done. It needs somebody at the federal level, preferably a nice military person, okay, a non-political military person who's used to handling logistics. We have tons of them in the service. That's what they do. They move supplies. They get things from one place to another. Military people are really, really good at this stuff. You need to put one of those in charge of all the supply chain to get that happening. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. Okay. Try to maintain your sanity. Focus on the things that you can control to some degree. There are some things you can't control. You can't control what comes out of the president's mouth or whatever he tweets. Now, if you like him, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. But there is still a major disconnect between what he says in his briefings and the direct responses you're getting from nurses and medical staff in ICUs and ERs. There is a major disconnect. Who you choose to believe is certainly up to you. Now, again, try and maintain some type of daily routine. It's good for you. It keeps your head in place. Daily journaling, exercise, aerobic exercise. You can do that at home. I've got some links in my YouTube channel. It goes to a page and has some links for exercise. Yoga is a nice thing that you can do. Won't get hurt. Again, you're spending a whole lot more time at home. Be careful. The chances of injuries in the house are bigger now than they ever were before, because most injuries take place in the house anyway. So be careful. You're too familiar with your circumstances there in the house. You're really, really familiar with your environment, and it's easy to take things for granted. Going up and down steps. Okay. Use a handrail. Extension cords, okay, or other wires. Make sure there's no loops anywhere when you're walking. Okay. Pets are great. They help maintain your sanity. Okay. Be careful if you've got cats in rocking chairs. They really don't go together real well. If you get little kids at home, okay, you need something to do with them. Again, my wife, Dr. Terry, does her bedtime reading. If you get older kids, I've got some educational links. I've got some links that you can do things to keep your own sanity. There are some courses that are available. You can keep your own sanity, and you might find some things that you can get some extra job skills with, so you can prepare now while you can, so that when you have the opportunity to launch your plan B, you've got things in place. Now, again, like and share this video. I will be posting this on my YouTube channel, The Real Money Doctor, tomorrow. When I do, okay, I'll also provide some extra links on there. There are some other things in there. A little daily present. Something I found that I thought was interesting that you might like. So go there, like and share the video. Find out what the present is every day. Go on that YouTube channel, The Real Money Doctor. Click on the video, and in there there'll be a link to a page. That page has a little present for you. So again, I appreciate you being here. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, The Real Money Doctor. I'm here to help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. Again, I appreciate you being here with me. I will always be here. Again, I'll be here tomorrow at 7 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.